I know at one point in time you reached out to me and we talked about some of the hands and feet people that you were working with wanted to do it, as he called it, the right way. He wanted to pull new cables, and in the end, we leveraged what was there. How did that work out?
I think he got proven wrong.
Yeah.
All right. And I imagine you hit this all the time because the installer's motivation is to have more work for himself. So
sure.
Your product is a threat in that regard to the installer who wants to pull all brand new cable and do everything the right way. Well, I'm sorry, I don't default to pulling cable is the right way. I'm looking for the least cost, best performance solution. And now I can say on 3 occasions, Phybridge has demonstrated that it is the least cost, high performance solution.
Very good. Well, I guess, being such a historical landmark, you can't just think of things you want to do and just go do them. Are there restrictions as to what you can do?
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, not only are there restrictions in how or in what we can put in or how we can put it in, we really need to be mindful of the aesthetics of things. So certainly modifications to any sort of historical building takes into mind not only its basic infrastructure, but how it will appear, because it is such a landmark and it is such a destination. So anything that we did, top of mind, of course, is budget, cost efficiencies, and also making sure that that the modifications that we make to our building and our infrastructure is zero to minimal.
You were part from the parish committee that looked at doing something. What was the reason that you started to look at this project?
Well, we started to look at this project because our existing system was consistently failing and unreliable. There were so many glitches in our technological infrastructure, and so we needed to modernize it. And part of that modernization process was also moving to the cloud, and was also about updating our security systems so that we could actually, during COVID, have more people work remotely. So this is, basically bringing us from the 17th century to the 21st century in many ways, in the way we operate as well.
When you looked at the fact that you had to consider all the historical nature of the deployment, being able to reuse what was already there from a mounting perspective, was that helpful?
It was, because that means we did not have to proverbially put another hole in the wall.
Right.
So aesthetically, it worked out very well.
Now you're fully IP, thanks to our switch that was in that part of the implementation for you. Having gone through the process, what are your thoughts now on the overall experience?
I thought the Phybridge part was terrific. I mean, it was a non-event is really the way to describe it. I mean, where I could have had 2 weeks of ripping out the ceiling and putting in new wiring and paying tons of money. Honestly, I think we were done in, I would say all told 3 hours to implement the existing cameras on the Cat 3. And I guess you remember we discovered in the midst of the project that there was coax we didn't know about. And
right.
You guys overnighted us some of those EC Link thingies,
yep.
And they just plugged and worked. I mean, there was never any question about your product.
Yeah, it's been a great success. I think John and team did a good job of planning and what have you. Anything that came out of it that you didn't expect that was a good thing for you?
What I expected there to be a lot more disruption. So there was a lot less disruption than I ever anticipated. So I take that to be a good thing.
Yeah. So if you look back at the project now and it's completed and it was a success, what are some of the things that you come away with it, having had the experience to use our technology firsthand?
One of the things that I walked away with was I don't think there's any kind of startup cost to Phybridge. You know, if I were doing another big project, which we probably will do another big project together, I wouldn't even concern myself with having to send the installers guys off for Phybridge training. It was such an easy product to install. I mean, they opened it up, they looked at it and said, well, this is obvious. So no, I think it was great. I think they were nervous about the product. They used it and it worked, and they were pleasantly surprised that once you plugged it in, it worked, and there was no big configuration issue or no big testing issue. You plugged it in, it worked.
Exactly. I know that with the church, there's always budgets that you got to be concerned with, and I know that there was some great cost savings in equipment and cabling that you were able to leverage, and also implementation. When you look back at the project now, did it meet all your needs from a budgetary perspective?
I'll answer it this way. If we had replaced all the cable, I would have exceeded the budget. Right. As it stands, I think we're under budget enough that we might actually be able to afford another camera.
Yeah, I talked to Reverend Manoj about it, and one of the things that we talked about was the fact that the building has such historical significance, that it was important for him when they were doing the planning that was never compromised. How did that work out?
Great. I mean, we actually we did pull some wires for new cameras in the church and one or two in the parish house, but all the existing cameras went in on their existing wiring. And that saves us a lot of headache, because it's very easy to do a project here and wind up crossways with the Annapolis Historic District Commission. And then you've got a politic thing going on, and this just became a non-event, replacement upgrade of our camera system, and there was no construction associated with it.
Yeah, because you mentioned to me that you had 3 different cable types that were transmitting the video signal, and you said, I challenge anyone to tell me which one was on which cable.
Oh yeah, you can look at the cameras. You have no idea from the cameras which ones are yours, which ones were the new Cat 5, and which ones are the old Cat 5. There's no difference in them.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted. I don't want the cable infrastructure to dictate what we do with the system that we're working on. So it worked really well.
And in the end, obviously, we know it was a success. What are some of the things that they share with you about how it went?
Well, I personally am grateful, and so thank you to you and your team. I am grateful for the technology. I am grateful that we are able to work remotely and work seamlessly when we upstream and downstream videos, and check in on our security camera. And my team tells me that everything has been smooth and seamless. So truly grateful for all the work that has been put in.